headphone highlight. Headphone highlights. So, we have had quite a journey so far with our planar magnetic headphones. And tonight, Snap's next guess is the end of the stream. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Tonight was supposed to be the end of our planar magnetic journey. But actually, as things turn out, I might have something coming in the mail tomorrow. So we're actually going to have one more planar magnetic highlight next week. But for today, we got something very special. Something that I've been very eager to talk about and that I have mentioned several times. These big, beautiful babies are the Audeze LCD-2Cs. Yes, these are my LCDs. They're monster planar headphones. And pretty gosh darn cool looking too, if you ask me. Man, I just love the way these things look, man. I love it. I'm gonna do my best to get through this, but these headphones are something else. So let's just kind of dive into it. These are big honking headphones, and they are heavy because there's lots of really and quality materials being used here. This is a brushed metal grill with this very, very subtle Audeze A. The ring around the cup is also a brushed metal. This bracket is brushed metal. This little bar here, which is your adjusting bar, is steel. This is this metal too? Hold on. No, that's just really, really high quality plastic for the section here that actually clips into the adjustment. You have a metal brushed spring steel headband and the very, very soft, simple, super simple, and crazy effective, very comfortable protein leather headband. The adjusting system for this, we haven't really seen something like this yet. It's an interesting one. This bar, as you can see, these rings, those are your rings that snap into adjustments. So you can actually hear it. It's pretty good snap. I don't know if, might not. It's not super duper loud, but it adjusts through these rings, which clamp into here. On similar adjustments, I think I've mentioned that I would be concerned with that maybe wearing out over time. I'm not super concerned with that with these headphones because the materials here and the precision of the build, I can't imagine that being an issue. And in fact, I might be wrong, but there are these little holes in the back of the tension brackets here, which I think might be used to readjust the tension. If for some reason they did end up getting loose, I think you could probably stick something in there to adjust the tension again. Yeah, they look massive. They're honkers. Big honkers. And then yeah, the headband, just a nice brush metal. It's unlike a lot of the headphones we've looked at, everything on this is very matte. And I don't mean very me, even though it is very me. I mean that nothing is glossy. Nothing on this headphone is like a fingerprint magnet. Everything just has this really nice brush to it, very matte look. And this head strap is just super pliable. I mean, it's not as loose and pliable as the headband on like the Sandiivas, but it's awfully close. And it even has these little perforated holes to help it breathe. and also make it just a little bit more pliable and a little bit lighter. They do swivel a little bit. They don't swivel, a full 90 degrees, but that's fine. They also swivel out like this a little bit. So plenty of adjustability to form your head. They terminate to a 3-pin XLR. Let's see if it'll show that off. There you go. 3-pin. Which is similar to what we saw with the... was it the gold planars? No, it was the Ether C X's. So a similar adjustment, a similar cable, but they are different. So you don't want to get them confused, because I believe those are a 4-pin and these are a 3-pin. No, these are 4-pin. I'm sorry. This is a 4-pin XLR, and those the Ether C X's are a 3-pin. So while they look similar, they are not the same. You got to be careful with that. But so not the easiest cable termination to find for a replacement. I do have this beautiful, freaking gorgeous, well-made periapt cable that I got custom for these. But the cable that they come with, I think, is fine. In fact, you know what? I'm going to pull it out, because similar to the... this is very dusty. Whatever. Similar to the gold planars, I have a Pelican case for these. I will mention that it did not come with this case. I bought this case separately. Ranma not included. But it is a Audeze case. But I did buy it separately, because I just had to have it. It's so cool. But in here, nice, good, comfortable fit. And the cable that it does come with is honestly a pretty dang nice cable. Show you that there. Has a really nice weave to it. The plastic rubbery coating on there is a little not sticky, but just a little bit. I don't know. A little has some tackiness to it, just a tiny bit. But I still really like the cable. The only reason I got with the periapt cable is because this cable terminates at a 1/4 inch, and I really wanted to run them balanced. So I went with periapt to get that 4-pin XLR balance. Okay. So wire looks like a chain link. Yeah, kind of. The pads that these come with are flipping enormous pads. Look at that. Like, oh my goodness gracious, that's a lot of pads. Yeah, it looks like very sticky rubber. Yeah, just a little tacky. But pads are humongous. They have this nice kind of oval shape to them, and they are angled for the driver. So you got your thinner side here that goes into the front of your ear, and the thicker side to go behind your ear, and that kind of helps direct the sound of the driver a little bit. Are they replaceable? I don't think they are. I'm not going to fuss with that. But I wouldn't even need... I don't think you need to, because these pads are amazing. They're so flippin' soft and thick and plush. They're absolutely amazing pads. Look at that. Just... blah. They form right back. Fabulous pads. So... yeah, we're looking at really incredible build quality. Really incredible build quality with a really incredible aesthetic that I'm really into. But we are looking at a lot of heavy-duty materials, lots of metal, working in tandem with a very large planar driver. So these are hefty boys. These might even be heftier than the M1060s. They might be heavier in terms of the actual grams. But let's get into the comfort. Despite that weight, it is the solution that the M1060s needed. Whatever Audeze has done here has made a huge planar with heavy-duty materials feel perfectly comfortable. Unlike with the M1060s, I don't feel like there's a humongous amount of weight on my ears. I don't feel like there's a whole bunch of tension on the top of my head or putting pressure down on my head. This is an extraordinarily comfortable headphone, despite its size and despite its weight. Extremely comfortable. I'm not sure what they did to make it work that way, but holy crap, these are significantly more comfortable than the M1060s. Hell, I might even say they're, in some ways, not always, but in some ways maybe even more comfortable than the Ether CXs. They're really, really comfortable. There's not a whole lot of clamp force. There has to be some so that you're not getting all that weight on top of your head, but the pads are so big and soft that there's no fatiguing pressure. And even though they're humongous pads, and the pads are humongous drivers with these humongous housings and these humongous pads that do reach down to like my jawline, which I've talked before has been kind of an irritation spot. Because they form so nicely and so softly, these pads, it doesn't bother my jawline at all. My ears sit firmly in the pads, which are a good 3.5 knuckle high and almost 3 knuckle wide. Like they're really good size holes to put into those pads. Your ear fits in there, and my ear is not touching anything. They're just kind of floating. So, crazy good comfort considering what they had to do here. These are heavy-ass headphones with humongous drivers, humongous magnet drivers, but they made it work. So, they're really, really comfortable. If we put them on our cloud system scale, I don't remember what I gave the Ethers. I think I gave them a fairly high score because they're so light with all that carbon fiber. Oh boy. I think these are more comfortable than the Sennheisers. Not the 800s. Those are probably the most comfortable headphones ever. Or close to it. But they're more comfortable than the 6XXs. More comfortable than the Jubilees. More comfortable than the K7XXs. More comfortable than the 17.7Xs. I'd say they're more comfortable than the HP3, the Eclipse HP3s. They're not more comfortable than the Argons, but that's a hard benchmark to make. Oh, man. They're almost, you know what? I'd say they're pretty close to... They range close to Fidelio X2 comfort, but with some noticeable more weight. They're very comfortable. So, with the caveat that while I don't feel the fatigue of the weight of the headphones on my head, they are definitely heavy. So when I turn my head, whoa, I feel that weight come with it. So these are not headphones you're going to be wearing if you have to be like moving your head around a lot, looking around, because man, you're going to feel the weight then. But if you're just sitting there doing your thing, they're perfectly comfortable. I'm going to give them a 7 comfort clouds. They're really, really great comfort on these. One of the more comfortable planar headphones that I have, and In terms of the giant planars, certainly one of the most comfortable I've ever worn. That might change next week. We'll see what happens. After the things I've heard, next week might set a new benchmark for comfortable giant planars. But for now, these are crazy good. A crazy good balance of comfort with high quality materials and enormous drivers. I'm ready to snap my gun all over again. Yeah, you will, man. Because even like leaning down, whoa, you feel it. So, but yeah, they're great. 7 clouds of comfort. Good comfort. Okay, the sound. I'm going to come out up front with these are the best sounding headphones that I own for my tastes. They mark everything that I value in the sound and the kind of sound that I like. They are the benchmark that I set all my headphones to. I've mentioned it before that when a headphone impresses me to a point, I have to pull the LCDs out to compare them. And that's always a triumph for that headphone. I respect a headphone that I have to put up against the LCDs. Even if it is a completely different sounding headphone, like with those Hi-Fi-Mans, the HE, what is it, the 560 V4s? Freaking love those headphones, but they don't sound anything like these. Nothing like them. But I still had to make that comparison. I still had to bring them out. These are not the best performing headphones in the world. These are not the most accurate headphones in the world. These are not the most dynamic. They're not the most intense. They're not the most detailed. They're not the most anything headphone in the world. I have certain headphones that do things much better than what these can do. Those Argons and those Sennheiser H100s have significantly better soundstage than these do. The DT177Xs has wilder and more impactful, crazy low end than these do. So it's not that they do everything to the maximum, but when you bring it all together for the kind of sound that I like to have, nothing has beaten these. Nothing has been able to trump what these can do. Every time, these are a headphone that I don't wear all the time. These are a headphone that I put into their case and I put away somewhere, because having access to them and wearing them all the time, it spoils me so hard. Even wearing these for the entire week that I've been wearing them leading up, 2 weeks now, 2 weeks of wearing these for the lead up to this headphone highlight, I kind of dread going back to anything else, because my God, do these sound amazing. I know we're running low on time. I'll try and get through this. More than any other headphone that I have, more than any other one, these headphones make me feel more emotional with my music than anything else I have, and anything else I've ever heard. And it's one thing to have headphones that sound really, really good and that perform really, really well, and it's a completely different thing when that headphone affects the way you feel about what you're listening to. And not just, oh man, I love this song, and oh man, this song now sounds really, really good. It's like, it's such a hard thing to explain. I've listened to the Nier Automata soundtrack 100 times. You know, I've listened to it to every single headphone I buy. The first thing I do is I throw on Near Automata soundtrack and listen to a couple of my favorite tracks from that. It's just one of the things I do. And out of all the headphones I own, these are the only ones that wow me with the flavor and the detail of what they're presenting, that it makes me tear up. These are the only ones that do that for Nier, a soundtrack that I know so very, very well. And it expands to anything that I really want to sit down and dive deep into listening to. These genuinely make me feel for what I'm listening to more than anything else. Remember, I think it was the Audio Technica M40Xs that I said made me cry watching that Legend of Zelda trailer. These kind of give me the same feeling for almost everything I listen to. Everything sounds just unreal, unmatchable, it's so natural and real sounding and intimate. It's just amazing. It's so hard to explain it. The low end is extremely well controlled. So the comparison that a lot of people make with these is, and for good reason, is the LCD-X. That's like the tier above these, LCD-X. And the LCD-Xs are an extremely analytical detail retrieval monster of a headphone, and people love them for that. So these are probably warmer than the LCD-Xs, but they might be a little bit warmer, but everything is still so unbelievably crystal clear and clean. There's the low end is punchy and rich, but it is not recessed, not reduced. It's maybe a tiny bit elevated, in fact, but it's very well controlled. It knows where it belongs. It knows not to bleed out where it shouldn't be. It's very contained in that area where it should be contained. So everything else just sounds so crystal clear, even with this really rich, deep, and dynamic low end. They're probably mid-range focus. That tends to be my taste. And the vocal clarity is just unbelievably clear. The soundstage is not huge. They're not humongous sounding like the HD800Xs or HDXXXs, whatever. But it's really good soundstage. It's like, it's here. It's not super narrow. It's a good amount. It's almost a perfect amount, because it's not so wide and so huge that you feel like you're losing intimacy, and you feel like maybe you're losing some of that really excruciating detail. It's still very, very present around you, but also spacious. So really good balance of soundstage, but also detail. The high end timbre and treble is so snappy and brilliant and sparkly and just delightfully rich. It's the headphone to beat for me in terms of what I like to listen to. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. And there's like a couple places you can go to online where it's like, oh, you think you have an ear for audio, huh? You think you're an audiophile? Well, here's a list of songs and we've uploaded these randomly with their 128 kilobyte MP3 file versus the master rip version of the song, and it's like, can you hear the difference for real? And admittedly, it very well could have been a fluke. It very well could have been, but when I did it wearing these headphones, I got like 9 out of 10 of them right. I feel like that's pretty good. So, but yeah, they're just, I love the way they look. I love the way they feel. I love the build quality for them. And the way that they sound is just this sounds so dramatic, but it's true. And anyone that is deep into the audiophile hobby has had this experience. It is a headphone that changes your perspective of audio. It's a headphone that you listen to and you realize that there are different ways to hear your music. That you've been listening to your music one way your entire life, and this is something just totally different, on a totally different playing field. Yeah, that's a bit of a claim. I know. It's dramatic, but they really are. They're, for me anyway, they were a life-changing headphone. A perspective-changing headphone. I love them so much I can't bear to wear them all the time. Because I just wouldn't, everything else would just sound like, whatever. So yeah, they're incredible headphones, and they're even incredible for their price. These are a price to performance headphone, once again, to beat. They're not cheap. They're not cheap headphones. You're looking around maybe $600, $800 for these things. So they ain't cheap. But the performance you get out of that $600 to $800 is just astronomical performance. It might not be as all around analytical, crazy monster of a end game headphone as something maybe like the LCD-X's or the LCD, I think the 5s are the new ones that people like. But they sound so effing good for significantly less money. So yeah, these are, I'll say it again, currently, as of today, February 23rd, 2022, these are the best sounding headphones that I own. I love them to death. They're incredible. So, we're a little late, and I apologize for that. But let me go ahead and switch this over. So there you go. The LCD-2Cs. The C, by the way, obviously it does not stand for closed. These are very open headphones. The C stands for classic. They're the LCD-2 classics. You don't want to get them confused with the LCD-2s or the LCD closed or the LCD-2 closed. These are the LCD-2 classics. Their naming conventions can use a little bit of tweaking, but amazing headphones. All right, let's switch over here.